Today's guest is costumer Ana Krimmel, winner of 2026 WonderCon Masquerade Oksana Shore Award for Excellence in Craftsmanship. As part of the prize package, Ana was invited onto the podcast to speak about their experience creating their award-winning Scarlet Witch cosplay and advice for up-and-coming cosplayers who might be wanting to show out at their first convention or masquerade stage. WonderCon Masquerade is an on-stage costume competition, or cosplay competition for those that favor that term, that begins with individual backstage judging, followed by on-stage presentations and performances. I was honored to return this year as one of the judges. It's always such a joy to be around such creative and inspiring talent. And with that being said, I am so excited to introduce to you all Ana Krimmel. I am so excited to introduce to the Art of Costume podcast. I met this creator at WonderCon just a few months ago, and they went on to win the Oksana Shore Award for Excellence in Craftsmanship. I am so excited to introduce costumer Ana Krimmel. Hi, Ana. It's so excited to finally talk to you.
I know.
It's been a minute. How are you? How have things been since WonderCon?
Not too bad. Pretty chill. Finished up college school year and yeah, kind of just chilling.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So lots of things coming up in your future then.
Yes, definitely a lot.
Yeah. Well, there's so much I want to talk to you today about. Obviously about winning the big award, your cosplay, what inspired you. But before we get into all that, I would love to hear just a little bit about yourself and how you first got into cosplay.
I grew up in kind of middle of nowhere, Colorado, and didn't do costuming. I actually used to play competitive tennis. And that's how I met my physical trainer, who was actually backstage with me at the Masquerade. And she was like, yeah, you can make costumes. Why don't you give it a try? So I kind of just started making them. The first thing I made was a mask made out of like Monster Energy cans. I think that's what everyone was doing during COVID. So, and then, yeah, I just kind of started going to conventions. My athletic trainer, she's amazing. She was like, yeah, WonderCon, it's wonderful. It's amazing. It's in the name.
Yeah.
Like, you need to come. And I was like, okay. So this past March was my third time there. And then the year prior, I went to Masquerade with her for the first time. I was like, I haven't done theater since I was 10. I want to do Masquerade.
I could do that.
So I was like, I can figure this out. I got it. But yeah,
so this year was your first Masquerade then?
First ever.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Look at you. Okay. So how would you describe your style or approach to costume making then?
I'd say it's very impromptu. I'm terrible at patterning. I'm terrible at making plans. I kind of just throw everything into a box and hope it works is kind of how I would go about it. This is probably the first costume I planned relatively anything with. I like to do kind of like, I like to take base stuff and then change it. So the Scarlet Witch, her initial costume for Hellfire Gala is very plain. It is from the X-Men run of comics, and I only had like 2 reference photos, and I was like, oh, this is kind of plain. What if I threw 20,000 rhinestones of beads on it and just called it good? So I like having a little bit of a base, but I also like to change a lot of stuff as well, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, I saw your costume up close though, so it definitely didn't look like you threw everything into a box and just made it work. It felt very planned out, so you definitely could have fooled me. So you told me one of your first costumes, which was working with Monster Energy cans. What were some of like your other first costumes you did when you went to like some of your first cons then?
Oh gosh, the first convention I ever went to was the Comic-Con special edition that happened like the November right after COVID.
Oh yeah.
And I think I was 13, 14 maybe, and I just put together a Star Wars Jedi costume.
Nice. Out
of like closet stuff. It was a closet cosplay. Absolutely. My trainer, she took me. She was like, "This is gonna be so fun. You're gonna love it." It was a lot, but that's definitely one of the first ones. I also made when I was very young a Zelda costume that I actually still have. So
nice.
That's also a very fun one.
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna have to send pics of that.
It is ancient. It is very old.
Right. Okay, well, let's talk about the big day then. Let's talk about Masquerade 2026. I was very excited to be one of the trophy judges along with some good friends, and we were blown away by your performance. We also got to see it up close behind the scenes, seeing the incredible book you put together, all these props, and the performance. It was the whole performance was outstanding. Oh,
Thank
you
you.
brought it. Okay,
I
perfect,
did bring
beautiful.
it.
So let's start from the beginning. What drew you to recreate the Scarlet Witch of the Hellfire Gala?
I've loved Marvel ever since I was little. My parents, I like to joke, my parents skipped over a lot of the Disney princess movies, and they're like, "Hey, here's the Avengers movie. You're six,
Yeah.
go watch that." So ever since then, I've really liked Marvel. But then when Age of Ultron came out, I really liked the character of the Scarlet Witch because in Age of Ultron, the country they're from is perceived to be from the former Yugoslavia, and that's where my mom is
Hmm.
from Croatia. Um, and so seeing a character, one that had a very like heavy Slavic accent was kind of fun because when I was little, I used to have one, and a lot of people weren't kind to me about that. And then it was also really fun. I loved the concept of like witches and magic. So as like an 8-year, I think I was 8 when Age of Ultron came out. It was super fun to see a character that has this incredible magical ability that she doesn't totally know how to use, but she's learning. She's getting there.
Yeah.
Um, so, and then after that, I started reading comics, all this stuff. And again, my athletic trainer was like, hey, here's this really fun concept of the Hellfire Gala. Do you want to make costumes from there? And I was like, let's do it. So I found the Scarlet Witches. I thought it was beautiful. The crown and everything, I absolutely loved it. And that's kind of how I decided. I was like, this is the one I'm going to do. This is how we're going to do it.
Yeah. It's funny. It's almost like she kind of mirrors like your own journey too. It's like she has this really cool magic, but still trying to figure out how to harness it. You were trying to harness some new skills and techniques when building out this costume. Like, what were
Yeah.
some of those new skills you feel like you honed in on when you created this cosplay? Because that is kind of one of the main principles of this Oksana Shore Award is honoring
Yeah.
someone who really, learned some new techniques and skills, and it really showed in her costume that you really took on the challenge to create this.
Yeah, definitely one of the big ones was 3D printing. I have done another 3D printed costume that I wore for WonderCon 2 years ago, but I never really did like 3D CAD like software designing. Um, Sanding was not my favorite thing to do, but I learned how to do it. Bono,
Yeah.
the whole 9 yards, and a lot of that came together with the book. All the
Ooh.
covers are 3D printed because I
Okay.
needed durability. So I actually got a new 3D printer to do it, which was super fun. I want to say the other two other ones I learned. I went to school in Croatia when I was very young, and part of the curriculum there is learning calligraphy and kind
Mm.
of quill and ink stuff. So I learned how to do it when I was younger, lost the ability, skill, however you want to put it, when I came back to America throughout middle school and high school. And then when I did some research into the Darkhold, the book I had, I was like, oh, a lot of this looks like it's quill and ink. I'm going to go
Yeah.
to Michael's and I'm going to teach myself how to do it again.
Nice.
So that was definitely fun. All the pages are hand drawn. It was me in my tiny little college dorm room for probably 3 weeks, hand binding and
Wow.
hand drawing the book. And I thought my roommate, she thought I was going insane. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like,
She's
"Who
like,
even
is this, are we in the craft right now? What's going
Literally,
on?
she's like, what is going? I had my 3D printer running, sewing machines, enough E6000 glued, I think, to kill an elephant in that dorm room. She was like, what is happening? Um, and then definitely the last one was beadwork. I did a little bit of beadwork, but I also brought the crown. The crown is all beadwork, so I did get to learn a lot of new skills for this crown, which was also really fun to learn as well.
Yeah, it was gorgeous and it sparkled so perfectly on stage.
I was so
So, how
happy.
did it feel stepping onto the WonderCon Masquerade stage as the Scarlet Witch? Tell me about your performance, presentation. Just what did it feel when you finally hit the stage?
I'm not gonna lie. I got to give a lot of credit to the backstage crew because I almost passed out twice. I was so nervous. I was like, "This is gonna go terribly. I don't know what I'm doing." And I think it was the stage manager backstage. She was so sweet. She's like, "Nope, you got this. You can do it. I believe in you." And I'm like, "Okay."
I don't
Um,
think people realize how big that room actually is. I mean, it's massive and it's full. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to give a number, but it feels like thousands of people.
yeah,
It's a
it's
lot.
pretty insane to like get up there and be like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. But the funny
Yeah.
part is, I wear glasses. I couldn't wear my glasses with that costume. And I scratched my cornea like 3 days prior, so I couldn't wear contacts. So I was
Oh,
actually like
nice.
blind as a bat.
Yeah, the
I
blind
couldn't
Scarlet Witch.
I could see like you guys at the table and then like one row behind you guys, and that was it. I was like, okay. So that helped with the stage fright. I also have to
Yeah, you couldn't see anyone.
I could see everyone. I was like, well, there's no one here. It's just me. Um, I think I was the first in the adult category to go after the junior category, and that scared the daylights out of me. They gave me the number, and they're like, oh, you're like number 4. And I'm like, oh, like there's 4 people ahead of me that are adults. They're
Oh
like, nah,
yeah, I didn't
it's
even
just the
think
kids and
about
then
that.
you. And I'm like, okay. That was shocking, but I'm glad I got it done first, because then I just kind of got to watch everyone else do their performances, which was super fun.
Right.
The other hard part was I had to change my performance 20 minutes before I went on.
Oh.
Because I had a massive prop. It was a big summoning circle of candles that had electric wiring into one of my shoes. So when I stepped, it would turn on. But the stage managing crew was like, hey, this thing's a little too big. We can't get it on stage.
Oh no.
So I was like, okay. Theater kid improvisation, let's do this. We'll figure it out.
No. Oh my gosh, that's so rough. I had no idea.
Yep. So I kind of, they were like, you can do the book and you have the little mat that the book sits on. And I'm like, we'll figure it out. We got this.
Right. Well, you put it together. You totally, I mean, I was convinced. It felt like everything went according to plan. So tell us a little bit about your performance. What went into it?
I started making the costume. I usually start my WonderCon costumes in July-ish, so I've already started mine for this coming year. But I had no idea what I was going to perform. I was like, I don't know. We're going to like look at some music, see what we can do. And I asked a lot of my friends who are still in theater. I'm like, how would you guys do this? And they had absolutely no idea how to help me on that front. But again, going back to Marvel, Agatha All Along was one of my favorite TV shows. And I was like, oh.
Right.
There's just so much music. I mean, you have an absolute stacked cast of singers and actors coming into that show. It has good music. And so I did a little research, and then it was kind of like one of those, like, it dawns on you moment and, like, the magical sunshine hitting the bookshelf kind of thing. Because I saw on my bookshelf in my dorm room the comic book for The Witch's Road, which actually has the Scarlet Witch in it.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, the ballad is in the show. I can just use that.
Easy.
Yep. And I was like, this is perfect. And then cue another 2 months of practicing and my roommate thinking I'm going insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, we're just going to figure out choreo and see how it goes. And I was like, I have a book. What if I make the book float? Like, what if I made it levitate? So then fishing line, one very fun phone call with my friend who does puppet work. And I was like, how would I do this? We figured out how to make it work. And I was like, I think it'd be really cool if I was like summoning spells and see how it goes. So I was initially just going to stay in that big summoning circle. And then when they told me it wouldn't work, one of the stage managers came up and she's like, just run around stage. Just go for it. Go every corner of stage. You're athletic. You can make it. And I'm like, okay. And that's kind of how the performance came to be what it ended up being.
You're stronger than me. I would have shut down at that point.
I was about to. I was like, I can't. This is not happening. I was like, nope. You got to get it together. My mom didn't raise a quitter, but she raised a complainer. I complained, but we got it done.
Yeah. Amen. So,
Yep.
okay. So you got through the performance. It looked great. And everyone was convinced I went incredibly according to plan. So how did it feel when you heard your name announced as the winner of the Oksana Shore Award?
I almost passed out again. Full honesty. Because I was under the full expectation. I was like, I'm coming into this. I really want to perform. I miss doing theater. I stopped doing theater once I got into like end of middle school, about high school-ish. And I was playing tennis, and I went to college, and I actually fly airplanes in college. So I was like, came into doing this to Masquerade being like, I just want to perform. I want to be on stage
Yeah.
again. I miss being on stage, and I did not expect to win anything. So after my performance, we were sitting backstage in the little backstage room. I met a lot of friends back there. I think all of us were asleep on the floor
Yeah.
when
It's a late night.
they started calling the names to come over for awards. And I'm kind of sitting there, and my athletic trainer who's helping me backstage, she's helping me put everything back on, like the wig, that big gold back corset, everything. We're just throwing it back on. She's like, you don't know, but let's put everything on. And they called the first round up, and there's a ton of us still back there, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to get anything. They called the second round up, and I still don't get called, and I was like, okay, we had fun, we did our dues. And then the lady came back for the last time, and she read out like 3 names, and she's like, and then this is it. And my names was one of them, and I was like, okay. And I was like, I'm gonna get like honorable mention, something, whatever. And I went up to the stairs on the side, and I'm standing there, and the really sweet team from costuming college was like, hey, you got the costuming college award. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm so happy. And went up, accepted that, and I got off the stage, and I'm going to walk back to the back room to go change and go back to the hotel, when a group of like 6 people came up to me. They're like, no, 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 turn back around, you got another award. And I was like, oh, okay. So I walk back up the stage, I'm sitting there waiting, and I'm like, I wonder what award this could be. I have no idea. And that's when the entire group came on, they're explaining everything, and the word I caught was Bernina sewing machine. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah.
And I look all the way across to the other wing, and again, the main stage manager is back there giving me a thumbs up. She's like, you got it! And I'm like, what is happening? And then you guys called my name, and once again, I was blind as a bat. I couldn't see anything because the lights were like right there. So I got on stage, and I was like, are we still here? What is happening?
Yeah, do I have to perform again? What's going on?
I was like, what do I do? But I was
Yeah.
overjoyed when I saw that I got it. Like, I was looking over at my athletic trainer, who again has just been so amazing. She's looking at me, giving me like thumbs up. She's like, good job. And I had my aunt and my little cousin out in the audience, and they were screaming back, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I have to say
It
that
was-
was probably the most exciting thing I think I've almost ever had happen to me.
Oh, well, it was such a great moment. I was the one who was able to give you your award. You probably couldn't see now that I know that, but I was the one that handed it to you, and it was just everyone in that room was so stoked for you. Such a great moment. And the Oksana Shore Award for Excellence in Craftsmanship carries a special significance because Oksana was such a talented and inspiring costumer who was so passionate about sharing knowledge and uplifting others. So what did that particular honor mean to you?
I was very, very honored to receive it because I kind of learned about costuming and a lot of the skills I learned from other people giving it to me,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And I think in our community, like the costuming community, especially cosplayers, kind of anyone who works with textiles, fabrics, there's so many techniques, traditions, things like that, that can only be passed down and shared through people.
Right.
I had a ton of help learning how to make my costume again from my aunt. She's a professional seamstress. She does amazing work. And I would only learn some certain techniques because, one, she was willing to share them with me, but 2, she was also willing to show me how these things work.
Yeah.
So, and another thing was, I may have mentioned it on the wig, there was a second crown on the back of my head. My grandmother actually showed me how traditionally those were made many, many years ago, because there's a version of those made more out of lace that is traditional Croatian attire. And again, it's one of those things, there's these traditions, these techniques and everything can only be passed down from people. They can't be passed down through textbooks and things like that. So getting this award that was dedicated to someone who was so willing to share her knowledge with people and share her experience and everything she knew was really, like, truly an honor.
Yeah, well, that's beautiful, and you clearly understand the spirit of the award. With that, now that you are one of the few winners of this award, now you are someone that's going to be inspiring people going forward in the future. So, how do you hope your work might inspire other creators or future Masquerade contestants, all those that are listening to you right now who are thinking about putting together their first Masquerade costume cosplay?
I really hope a lot of the stuff I do is not costume related. I never really did that, and I really want people to know that it's okay to be like I'm a person in STEM. I fly airplanes, I do aerospace sciences. I played sports. I never did like until high school traditional arts. Um and because I was nervous too. I was like, you can't be an athlete and an artist. That doesn't make sense. You can't be someone who does science and be an artist. That doesn't make sense. But then as I started to get into high school, I was like, wait, I can do both of those things. Those can both be part of me. And I really want people to start to learn that you can be both things, and that's okay. You can have your
Yeah.
hobbies and interests be in cosplay, in costuming, learning these different skills such as leatherworking, sewing, 3D printing, all that stuff. And it can still apply to what you do outside of costuming, vice versa. Um, so I think it's really important for people to realize you can be multifaceted, and honestly, in the long run, that pays off more than just sticking to one thing and what you know. Be
Yeah.
not Don't be afraid to go out, experiment, be like, I'm just going to go to the convention in a closet cosplay and just see what happens. I've never been to one in my life. I didn't like talking to people. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And now
Yeah.
here we are.
Right. And so many people that I talk to at these conventions is like, a lot of people will be like their first time, second time, like, yeah, I put this together. I had no idea I had this in me. Or they'll go to the WonderCon and be like, I wish I could do that. And I'll be like, you probably can. Like, just give it a try. Like, if you want it, you could get it done. So, what advice would you give to cosplayers just starting out who might be intimidated by these, what look like big, intricate builds, but they're just like people like you and I who are at home going to Michael's or talking to our grandparents, being like, how do you put this together? Like, it's not that serious. It's about fun and creativity at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
I think my biggest advice would be don't afraid to try it. You're gonna
Hmm.
mess up. That's how it works. I'm not lying. The dress that I performed was the fourth iteration.
Right.
Mock-ups, the rhinestones killed me like 3 times. Ordering more fabric, buying more rhinestones, more beads. But in the end, I was like, I'm just gonna keep going. So don't be afraid to try. You're gonna mess up. That's how this goes. It's a learning
Hmm.
experience for everyone. That's how we learn. We mess up
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, that didn't work. Let's try something different. And eventually you're gonna get to where you want to be. So if you're not afraid, if you're willing to take those leaps and see how it goes, I think in the long run, that's going to be a very important step for a lot of people who are just getting into costuming.
And looking toward the future, are there any dream characters or builds you're hoping to tackle in the future? You don't have to give spoilers if you're already working on one, but like, what are some like aspirational characters you want to do someday?
Oh gosh, I would love, hilariously enough, I would love to make a Pacific Rim Jaeger build because I've seen
Ooh,
a few
okay.
people do it. I love the Pacific Rim movies. Some video game characters. Right now, I'm working on Mercy from Overwatch, one of
Okay.
her skins from that. So I have the staff is actually printing on my 3D printer right now,
Nice.
parts of it, and that one may or may not be coming to WonderCon.
All right.
But I love doing big builds. I think I would also really like um, to redo that Zelda cosplay from when I was really little.
Oh, that would be fun.
I would love to
A
redo
full
that.
circle moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Full circle, make the beautiful skirt because it's her Twilight Princess version, which is like the whole 9 yards of embroidery and fancy fabric. So it's definitely like of my top tier of ones I really want to do. Really recreating that Zelda to like the full capacity she could be is definitely probably on the top for me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. And with all that, where can people find you online or follow your work? So we could see all these fun builds where we could see the Zelda and your possibly Overwatch costume at the next con.
I usually post on my Instagram. Honestly, a lot of times there's story posts. I'm getting better at posting like permanent posts. I'm on Instagram at hippolove_13.
Okay.
So that's where you can find me. I have a few stuff posted from previous years, But I'm definitely going to be just now pulling out a lot of the Scarlet Witch photos to definitely put on my Instagram.
Awesome, great. And we will be posting that in the show notes as well, so everyone could go follow Ana down below if you're listening or watching on YouTube. Or follow that. Ana, it's been so nice to talk to you. I'm so glad we finally got to catch up. You are so inspiring. I got to meet you backstage and on stage. It was so cool to see you win. And I hope I get to see you at one of these next conventions. I really want to keep up with what you're doing. So it's really been a pleasure. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Costume House with Spencer Williams is a production of The Art of Costume. This episode was hosted, produced, and edited by Spencer Williams. To discover more conversations with the designers shaping film, television, and theater, visit theartofcostume.com or follow us on social media at The Art of Costume. And don't forget to connect with me on Instagram at HostSpencer. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts or watch on YouTube. And stay tuned for more episodes celebrating the designers shaping today's most captivating films, television series, and stage plays.